So there is so much bad news around at the moment. Let's try and end on something a little bit more positive here on the programme, because the oldest student newspaper in Europe has been saved from closure after its volunteer staff raised more than £3,000 in emergency crowdfunding. That's just over about $3,500. A free newspaper, The Student, was founded at the University of Edinburgh and it has been running since 1886. Let's hear from their editor, Lucy Jackson.
So we've been around for 136 years, since 1887. Robert Louis Stevenson was one of our founding members. He was a student at the University of Edinburgh, which is where we're based. And we were initially a magazine, and then we basically transitioned into a newspaper. And we've been vital to the community in Edinburgh, not just students, but residents in Edinburgh as well. We've been absolutely vital since then. We've reported through all sorts of events, both world wars, we've been there. And then even more recently, as we've had obviously the pandemic, we've got the cost of living crisis that's ongoing right now. So it's really vital that we exist so that we can share stories that students are, dealing with right now.
A proud history that you have there, but it was a history that looked like it could come to an end. Why were you in financial troubles?
Yeah, so we don't get any funding, any permanent source of funding from either our university or our Students' Association. Now, that's a good thing in a sense, because it means that we can stay editorially independent from them. So it means we can still report on, what goes on there, and we can hold them to account, which is brilliant. But obviously that does then mean that we do sometimes struggle to fund ourselves. So we're technically classed as a society at university, so the only money that we get really comes from our memberships. So we do have to look for advertising. But with the nature of print journalism and the way that things are changing, it's just become so expensive, and not many people want to advertise in print anymore because you can do the same thing for free on social media. So, yeah, that's basically where we're at.
It's great that you had crowdfunding. You have been saved now, so you will continue. But as you look to the long-term future of the student newspaper, do you worry that this may happen again? Because for many people, newspapers are becoming something of a relic.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think the nature of journalism in itself is shifting online. I think it's also shifting to people want to read and access news for free, which I totally understand as a student with my student loan. I totally get that. But I mean, we remain free online, and obviously we post a lot of content on our social media, and our newspaper is free to pick up. So we do try and remain as accessible as possible, but it has come to a point now where the world of print journalism is starting to struggle a bit. And I think it's something that we don't really want to let go of it, because, as we've just said, we have such a rich history at the Student, and print journalism, it's a part of our identity in a sense, because it's often where writers and students get to try journalism for the first time and get to try their hand at reporting, and to see your name in print. It's, especially for the first time, and for as a student, it is a very different experience. It feels wonderful. So we would really, really hate to say goodbye to that part of ourselves.
Lucy Jackson there, the editor of the student newspaper that has been saved. Tony, do you have a copy of the Houston Chronicle in your hand?
Oh, no, I don't. Definitely not. But I was with the publication, as you probably know, I was with The Economist for several years. And so, print journalism, print media generally, obviously very difficult business. And, I was there as things were changing quite a lot. And the nature of the business and the sales were changing a lot. So, not easy to keep that business going. And, kudos to them for being able to pull this off, at least for now.
Yeah, at least for now, I think is the key phrase that you use there. Well, when I was in India, Mehmal, there was an expansion in some publications. Literacy was increasing in India, more and more people reading, and that was good for some of the newspapers. How is it in Pakistan? You mentioned The Dawn before. Are you a regular subscriber to a paper, or do you read it online now instead?
Well, Rahul, to be very honest, I now read every paper online, and that's
Stop
very
it,
sad.
Mehmal. Come on.
I know, I should. I mean, I know everybody says, print media is dying, but print media is actually my first love. I started my career back in 2005 at a newspaper in Lahore, and so even when I see my byline, even now in a newspaper, that's something that really, really makes me happy, and I love writing. So for me, it's actually something personal, and also upsetting that print is dying. But unfortunately, that's the global trend. People are moving to online. I mean, even somebody like me doesn't buy a newspaper anymore, even though I read newspapers. I still read newspapers online. But the thing is, it's a global phenomena, and people have moved to digital now.
Yeah, it is.
Digital is the future.
Does it matter, Tony? I mean, as long as you're reading the articles, whether you're reading it on your phone or you're reading it on a sort of physical form, does it really make any difference as long as you're absorbing that content?
As a consumer, I don't think it matters much. As on the business side of it, I think it does matter because I think when people feel something in print and they see maybe a photo of the journalist or the editorialist, I think it's different. I think seeing it online, it's a bit less human and a bit more commoditized. So it is different. As it changes, I think the skill of journalism, I'm sorry to say, is possibly a little bit less than it had been at the time. Maybe some of that has to do with information access. Ease of information access now makes it a bit easier. Maybe kind of AI composers makes it easier, but I think it's different.
It is, yep. There are a lot of people saying that. My son actually started buying a newspaper recently, and then after doing it for about 2 days, realised how expensive it suddenly become, and he has ditched that idea completely. Or he said, "Can I pay for his subscription?" That will not be happening. Tony, always a pleasure to have you on the programme, Mehmal.
Thank you.
Good luck in that smog in Lahore. Hope it improves over the course of the next few weeks. That is it for Business Backers. The team will be back at the same time, same place tomorrow.